What's up, perps? We back for another one. Uh, so this is going to be another one of those bills. Normally, I'll read a bill, I'll take a bunch of notes on something, then when I bounce through it, I try to keep myself on track. We're going to shoot from the hip on this one. It's just going to be that kind of a bill. And it fits in with a bunch of things that myself and others have been talking about lately with these untraceable ghost guns. Hold on. Stuff like this. Uh, yeah. Completely clear. Yeah. And a lot of what they're talking about these days with untraceable ghost guns, what you have to understand about this is they're talking about unserialized firearms. So they lump in a firearm like this that is a serialized firearm that's made by a manufacturer. They lump those in with homemade or privately made firearms. Because it takes literally seconds to remove the serial number off of a firearm. Matter of fact, something like this. Yes, it's clear all the way through. You can actually see down through there. Yeah, completely clear. So, something like this guy. 1911, this is a serialized gun. It would take me literally seconds with a rock to damage the serial number where you could no longer read it, and it would be considered an unserialized firearm by law enforcement, as far as their numbers go, because let's face it, we're in the middle of a propaganda campaign, and people want to make it sound like homemade guns are an issue with crime, and they're not. You can go back and look through a video that I did on civil asset forfeiture, in which I went through a lot of firearms that were seized by law enforcement and forfeited. We went through over 3,000 pages of documents. I literally found more Barrett 50 caliber rifles on that list than I did polymer 80 firearms. Let that sink in. I literally found more semi-automatic 50 caliber rifles than I did polymer 80 firearms. 3,000 pages, over 3,000 pages of documents. It's probably closer to 4, I think. Just doing Control F searches on the documents, running searches for polymer 80, P80, a couple different terms, and reading through a lot of it. Yeah, there were, I think, 4 or 6 polymer 80s on that entire list of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of firearms. And you're trying to tell me that polymer 80 firearms are an issue with crime? Let's face it, it is much easier to remove an existing serial number than it is to make a working, functioning polymer 80 firearm, or a ghost gun 80%, something like this. For the most part, our criminals in the United States aren't just out here making these firearms because, let's face it, we don't have the highest caliber of criminal in the world. If you've ever listened to a lot of gangster rap that talks about all of the things that go on in a narco economy and drive-bys and shootings and things like that, you will notice that there's a running theme with a lot of these people. They are not the most intelligent people on this planet. You can take that and put it however you want. Let's face it, there are a lot of people in country music that are not the person you want doing brain surgery. However, that person doing country music tends to have some sort of mechanical acuity. Um, anyway, that's my rant for the start of this because I'm trying to delay actually hurting my brain getting into this shit. But let's do it. We've delayed it far enough. Um, yeah. Okay. So this was introduced on 5/11/2021. This is actually making some ground from what I've seen. This is to amend Chapter 44 United States Code, and we know that's where a lot of the firearms law is. If you followed me for very long, to ensure that all firearms are traceable and for other purposes. Again, I could make this firearm completely untraceable in a matter of minutes with a rock, no skills, no real tools. Um, Serial numbers are not this magic thing that cannot be removed from firearms. Criminals do it all the time. Um, so, why are we going after people building guns for themselves at home, except for the fact that the government really hates that they can't easily track these things to their legal owners? Because if I sold this gun today, if I sold it, which I'm not going to, that's one of my favorite guns on this planet. But if I sold it today and it was used in a crime in days, months, years, whatever, when they trace that serial number would pop back to me, and would not trace to the person who actually used it in the crime. If I did a person-to-person sale. So serial numbers in most cases are pretty much useless. They can be removed and they only go back to the original owner. So, I would read through the list of morons that actually signed on to this bill, but you guys pretty much already know. We'll hit the high points on some of these idiots, but we ain't reading all of them. Names that stick out very quickly. Mr. Cicilline, who is another absolute mental midget. Let's see. Maloney from New York. Yeah. Oh, God. Cooper. This guy needs to change his name. If you're going to have the name Cooper, which is my name, you really need to change your attitude about firearms. Or maybe I'm just balancing out the evil. It's like yin and yang. You've got this dumbass who believes in every bit of gun control on the planet, and you have me that believes that gun control is absolute horseshit. So maybe I'm just balancing out the whole force over here, light to dark and all that. I don't know. Hank Johnson from Georgia, and I will say this about every time I mention his name, this guy actually thought the island of Guam would tip over if we put more Marines on it. This is the caliber of person we're dealing with. And believe it or not, kids, this guy is a lawyer. How the hell would you like to be a defendant in court and this guy walks in to defend you? He could send you to the gas chamber for a parking ticket if he was your defense lawyer. That's about the damn size of it. Miss Demings is on here. She's another one that's just logic, reason, anything like that have no space in her brain at all, whatsoever, at all. Jamie Raskin, who is an absolute sleaze. And I've watched him in many hearings. And yeah, I probably wouldn't be in Congress long having to deal with him because I would probably say some stuff that would get me impeached. Adam, I'm sleeping with Chinese spy. Schiff is on here. Debbie Wasserman. My husband is sending dick pics to underage girls. Or no, that was another one. Was it? No, that was what's her face. Either way, Wasserman Schultz was involved in some other shit that I These people are. Congress is the biggest den of thieves, snakes, and actual freaking rapists, child molesters on this planet. YouTube, you can kiss my ass on that one because it's absolutely the truth. Yeah, that's probably going to get spicy. Okay, so let's get into this. To amend 44 United States Code to ensure that all firearms are traceable and for other purposes. Let's see, they're going to call this the Untraceable Firearms Act of 2021. Oh, God, here we go with it. Is the sense of Congress. Knowing that Congress has no sense whatsoever. Without the enactment of this act, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, which should be a convenience store, by the way, has the authority to regulate ghost guns as defined in Section 921 in 18 United States Code, as amended by Section 3 of this Act, and unfinished frames and receivers, aka paperweights. That's all this is. Until I mill the trigger pocket and affix all the parts to it, it is a paperweight. Completely legal paperweight. Alright, for the purpose of this act, is to clarify and strengthen such authority. The ATF has no authority to regulate anything that is not a firearm, constitutionally, legally. Requirement that all firearms be traceable. Definitions in Section 921, so let's do my normal thing. Let's kick over here to 921. Definitions. Shotgun, rifle, Let's get down here to this one. So, in paragraph 10, this is paragraph 10, by adding at the end the following. The term manufacturing firearms shall include assembling a functional firearm or molding, machining, or 3D printing a frame or receiver, and shall not include the making or fitting of special barrel, stocks, or trigger mechanisms to a firearm. Oh, gee, thank you, government. I can actually fit my own triggers and stuff. Gee, y'all are so gracious to little old me. All right. So, let's see. By inserting after paragraph 29. So we get down to here. Let's see. 30, because 30 was a whole nother section, and then 30 was repealed, and now they want to replace 30 with this horseshit. The term frame or receiver means a part of a weapon that provides or is intended, get that, or is intended, that's how they're going to cover 80%, because 80% are intended to do this, intended to provide the housing or structure to hold or integrate one or more fire control components, even if pins or other attachments are required to connect those components to the housing or structure. Oh, make the pain stop. Oh, God. Alright. 30I. No. Oh, we're 30I. Okay. Includes a frame or receiver, blank casting or machine body that requires modification, including machining, drilling, filing, molding, to be used as part of a functional firearm, and which is designed and intended to be used in the assembly of a functional firearm unless the piece of material has had its size or external shape altered solely to facilitate transportation or storage, or solely its chemical composition altered For purposes of subparagraph AI, if a weapon with more than one part that provides a housing or structure designed to hold or integrate one or more fire control or essential components, each such part shall be considered a frame or receiver unless the Attorney General has provided otherwise by regulation with respect to the specific make and model of weapon or on or before January 1st, 2022. And you realize all they're going to do is change the dates on this shit. They're just going to resubmit it. That's all they'll do. They'll just retread it and retread it and retread it and retread it until they can stick it in some omnibus bill. Although a lot of these regulations are technically coming down the pipe with the good old AFT this summer. This is the biggest useless piece of word salad I have read in the last couple of days. And that's saying a lot if you follow my channel and you see all of the things that I read. Because all I do on my channel a lot of times is sit here and read and edit crap like this. Under this regulation, you might as well have to serialize every piece of pipe and metal that is in Lowe's and Home Depot or Ace Hardware or the local hardware store down the road. Anything you have in your house, piece of pipe, whatever, they could hit you with something like constructive intent for saying you were going to make said object a firearm, or you could make said object into a firearm. Any block of metal, fistful of screws, each time I need to quit asking whether these people can get any damn dumber, because they're taking this shit as a challenge, and they keep trying to prove me wrong that they and show that they actually can get dumber. All right, let's see. Was there anything else in 921? I think we're going to 922 after this. Nope. Son of a bitch. Oh, they added in paragraph 36. The term ghost gun means a firearm including a frame or receiver that lacks a unique serial number engraved or cast on the frame or receiver by a licensed manufacturer or importer in accordance with this chapter. Does not include a frame that has been rendered permanently inoperable. Deep breath. Does not include a firearm identified by means of a unique serial number assigned by a state agency and engraved or cast on the receiver or frame of the weapon before the effective date of the Untraceable Firearms Act of 2021 in accordance with state law. Does not include a firearm manufactured or imported before 1968, or a firearm identified as provided for under Section 5842 of the Internal Revenue Code of 86. The term fire control component means a component necessary for the firearm to initiate or complete the firing sequence and includes a hammer, bolt or breech block, cylinder, trigger mechanism, firing pin, striker, and slide rails. So according to these dumbasses, in their regulations, hold on. what was that song? Shake It Off. Shake It Off. Yeah, you can't shake this shit off. You couldn't scrub this shit off with fucking Ajax at this point. All right, so then we go over here to 922. It's 24, 23. This should be 22. And they add at the end the following. What? No. Well, no, they added this. They added this later. So they go for this first. So they add in section AA. Then they go back and they add in some other sections that you'll see before section AA. And you will need AA after you go through this shit. I'm serious. You're going to develop a drinking habit. Trust me. I'm from the government and I'm here to help. Alright. Section AA. The Congress finds and declares the following. A firearms tracing is a systematic tracking of movement of a firearm recovered by law enforcement officials from the first sale of a firearm by the manufacturer or importer through the distribution chain, including the wholesaler retailer, to the first retail purchaser. Law enforcement agencies across the country work with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives to trace firearms and thereby obtain investigative leads in the fight against violent crime and terrorism. Now, let me fill you in, kids. They use the terrorism aspect there because if you believe in the Second Amendment, you're the terrorist. Yeah. The ability of law enforcement agencies to trace a firearm is dependent upon the serial number or other marks on the firearm that identify the manufacturer or importer who manufactured or imported the firearm and that are unique to the firearm. Interstate gun trafficking refers or interferes with lawful commerce in firearms and significantly contributes to gun crime. Of the 254,700 firearms traced by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives in 2018, 71,910 of those firearms were originally sold by a licensed firearms dealer in a state other than the state where the firearms were recovered. These guns made up 28% of all firearms recovered in 2018. Yes, because people move across state lines, they take their guns with them, and then sometimes their guns are stolen. Sometimes their guns are stolen in the state they live in, and then they are transported to other states by said criminals. These crimes have nothing to do with legal firearms purchases, you bunch of absolute goddamn morons. Sorry. Alright, even before the sale of a firearm, the gun, its component parts, and the raw materials from which they are made have considerably moved in interstate commerce. Guess what they're setting up there? The Interstate Commerce Clause. If you followed me for a little while, you should know what the Interstate Commerce Clause is by now. And much like me, you should want to find the person who actually initiated the Interstate Commerce Clause and punch them dead in the face. A lot. A whole lot. Okay, if unserialized and untraceable firearms may be constructed and transported freely from state to state, ordinary citizens and foreign visitors may fear to travel to or through certain parts of the country due to concern about violent crime and gun violence, and law enforcement agencies may be unable to address it. Yes, we call these places New York, California, Oakland, Atlanta, Uh, yeah. Um, so it's my fault and it's your fault if we like to have guns, build guns, whatever. It's our fault that crime is happening. It has jack shit to do with criminals that they aren't putting in jail. Yeah, it's our fault. Um, Told you you're gonna need AA. If you are still here, I commend you. Your liver is probably not going to like you very much. Let's move on. Oh, Section 2A, except as provided in subparagraph B, it shall be unlawful for any person to manufacture, sell, offer to sell, transfer, that means just handing someone a firearm, um, purchase or receive. It would be illegal for someone to hand me and then me actually take possession of a ghost gun. Um, Enter affecting interstate or foreign commerce. Remember what I said about that section up there? Yeah. B. Subparagraph A shall not apply to the manufacturer of a firearm by a licensed manufacturer if the licensed manufacturer complies with Section 923I before selling or transferring the firearm to another person. We'll look at 923 in a second. Shall not apply to the offer to sell, or transfer a firearm to or purchase or receipt of a firearm by a licensed manufacturer, licensed importer, before the date that is 30 months after the date of enactment of the Untraceable Firearms Act. Shall not apply to transfers between licensed manufacturers and licensed importers on any date. And the cat's up here again. Quit. Shall not apply or shall not be unlawful for a person other than. It shall be unlawful for a person other than a licensed manufacturer, licensed importer, to engrave or cast a serial number on a firearm, enter affecting interstate or foreign commerce, unless specifically authorized by the Attorney General. Oh, here we go. Beginning on the date that is 30 months after the date of enactment of the Untraceable Firearms Act of 2021, it shall be unlawful for any person other than a licensed manufacturer or licensed importer to knowingly possess a ghost gun in or affecting interstate or foreign commerce. And you can say, well, my guns don't affect interstate or foreign commerce, but they already set it up there that these things have already participated in interstate or foreign commerce even before they were manufactured. The mere raw materials have participated in interstate or foreign commerce. So there's that. Beginning on the dates 30 months after the date of enactment of the Untraceable Firearms Act 2021, it shall be unlawful for any person other than a licensed manufacturer, licensed importer, to possess a ghost gun enter affecting interstate or foreign commerce with intent to sell or transfer the ghost gun with or without further manufacturing or to manufacture a firearm with a ghost gun. So 30 months after the enactment of this act, if you had an 80% receiver and you just decided, fuck it, I'm just going to go ahead and put this thing together, well, you would be breaking the law. You get to go to prison. It's awful nice of these people, isn't it? 6. It shall be unlawful for any person to sell, offer to sell, or transfer enter affecting interstate or foreign commerce to any person other than a licensed manufacturer a machine that has the sole or primary function of manufacturing firearms. That's your 3D printers. Even if you don't manufacture anything having to do with firearms, guess what? That is your 3D printer. And you can try to argue that all you want. Yeah. Have fun with that shit. except as provided in some paragraph A, beginning on the date that is 180 days after the enactment of the Untraceable Firearms Act of 2021, it shall be unlawful for any person other than a licensed manufacturer to possess, purchase, or receive in or affecting interstate or foreign commerce, I want to fucking puke, a machine that has the sole or primary function of manufacturing firearms. That is a CNC machine. That is a 3D printer. That is a sheet metal bender. That is a rivet press. These people are absolutely fucking clueless. C, subparagraph B, shall not apply to a person who is engaged in the business of selling manufacturing equipment to a licensed manufacturer who possesses a machine with the intent to sell or transfer the machine to a licensed manufacturer. Sorry, I had to jam out for a second. Oh, let's... God, man. Let's see where we're at now. Section, because they made some more edits to 922. It may be much later in the bill. Nope, here we go. Removal of serial numbers, section 922K. Let's see if I can find K real fast. No, that's section T. We'll look at it in a little bit, baby.
Yes, I want to see a leprechaun. If my drawing of a leprechaun, do you like it?
That's very good, baby. That's a very good drawing of a leprechaun. Let's see. That's Q. This is K. So, it shall be unlawful for any person to knowingly transport, ship, receive in interstate or foreign commerce any firearm which has had the serial number authorized by this chapter under state law, removed or obliterated or altered, or to possess or receive any firearm which has had the authorized by this chapter or state law, serial number removed, obliterated, altered. It's already against the law to remove serial numbers, kids.
And also, if you haven't drawn a leprechaun, do it now.
Okay. It shall be unlawful for any person to manufacture, import, ship, sell, deliver, possess, transfer, or receive an untraceable firearm, or, then we get down here, a major component of a firearm which is subject to inspection by the types of detection devices commonly used at airports for security screenings that would not generate, an image. Good God, man.
Dad, it's not raining.
These people actually believe that there are these undetectable firearms out there. Oh, if there were, I would love to have one. The term undetectable firearm means a firearm as identified in section 921A3A, of which no major component is solely made of a detectable material. Term major component with respect to a firearm means the slide or cylinder or frame or receiver of the firearm, and in the case of a rifle or shotgun includes the barrel of the firearm and yada yada. Under such rules and regulations, the Attorney General shall prescribe in this subsection Shall not apply to manufacture, possession, transfer, receipt, shipment, or delivery of a firearm, including a prototype, by a licensed manufacturer acting in pursuant to contract with a licensed manufacturer for the purpose of examination and testing such firearm to determine whether paragraph all that applies. Oh, Section 5. Shall not apply to a firearm received or in the possession of or under the control of the United States, or the manufacture, importation, possession, transfer, receipt, shipment, or delivery of a firearm by a licensed manufacturer, licensed importer pursuant to contract with the United States. See, again, they have their carve out. It's not against the law for the government to have these things, but it's definitely going to be against the law for you and I to have said things. I've said it in many bills before. The government always has their carve-outs. And this is just another one. So that was 922K, all the BS there. Did they do anything with 923? Yeah, 923I. So let's move over to 923 and let's continue the pain. So they come down here to, what is it, Section I. And they throw in this little gem. So 923, if you are just now catching me, 923 is, well, 922 is unlawful, or got definitions, yada yada, unlawful acts, and then you've got the, basically the punishments. Let's see. Licensed importer, licensed manufacturer shall identify by means of a serial number engraved or cast on the receiver or the frame of the weapon in such manner as the Attorney General prescribes. Licensed importer, licensed manufacturer. The serial number shall be engraved or cast.
Can I go check out this after the
No, man. Go watch this. Serial number shall be engraved or cast on the frame or receiver in a manner sufficient to identify the firearm and the manufacturer or importer that put the serial number on the firearm. So if I had a spooky ghost gun, spooky. I wonder if I throw it through the wall, if it'll just pass through. So anyway, if I had this and I sent this off to someone to engrave it, they would have to engrave it with their name, their company, all that stuff. Yeah. Not later than 180 days after the date of enactment of the Untraceable Firearms Act. Now my son's in here. Come here, Goober. The Attorney General shall prescribe regulations for engraving a unique serial number onto a ghost gun. The regulations prescribed under subparagraph A shall allow an owner of a firearm described in subparagraph A to have a unique serial number engraved on the firearm by a licensed manufacturer or importer, and require that the serial number be engraved on the frame or receiver in a manner sufficient to identify the firearm, the manufacturer or importer that put the serial number on the frame. The regulations authorized under this paragraph shall expire on the date that is 30 months after the date of enactment of the Untraceable Firearms Act. Why does this expire? Well, because after the 30 months, you can't get your firearm engraved. It is illegal for you to have, and they will put you in prison for it. That's why that part expires. Alright, then we get into 924. 924 is basically the punishments for all this. For breaking their laws. Let's see, because there was this little gem right here. No, ooh, that's 921. I wanted 923. Or 924. 924, here we go. Sorry, guys. Hey, I'm human. All right. Except as otherwise provided in this section of yada yada yada. Whoever knowingly makes any false statement or representation with respect to information required, knowingly violates section A4FK, and then they add in or, because these are all the sections that they just added into the law. Section Q, AA2, AA3, AA5, or AA6 of Section 922. What are you doing, child? Ah! I feel the same way about this kid. You can't hang out with Daddy here because Daddy's going to use bad language. Yeah, you see all the letters up there. A, B, C, D, and all that. Yep. Okay, let's see. This is where they get into this. To be sentenced to a term of imprisonment of not less than 5 years. If the functional firearm is brandished, to be sentenced to a term of not less than 7 years. If the functional firearm is discharged, to be sentenced to a term of imprisonment of not less than 10 years. Now, notice this mentions nothing about you being in defense of yourself or others doing this brandishing or firing. So if you defended your life with a ghost gun after the enactment of this act, well, you would still be charged and still be going to prison. Give me that. That. I don't even know what it is. It's something with your sister. Alright, if the functional firearm possessed by a person convicted of a violation of this subsection is a short barrel rifle, short barrel shotgun, well, yeah, you're going to prison for not less than 10 years. So if you have a, I know I've got one close. Here we go. If you have said braced pistol that is an 80% spooky boy, yeah, you're going to prison for 10 years. On that note. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Alright, let's see. Alright, so we got to keep on rolling down through here. Where is that? Functional firearm, yeah, in paragraph by striking, blah, 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 blah. And adding in this. For purposes of this subsection, the term brandish means, with respect to a firearm, to display. Get this shit. To display all or part of a functional firearm, or otherwise make the presence of the functional firearm known to another person in order to intimidate that person, regardless of whether the functional firearm is directly visible to that person. And if you don't think somebody trying to rob you would call the cops if you told them you had a firearm, you're wrong. As a matter of fact, there are a lot of firearms trainers that I follow that will tell you if you are in a defensive situation with a firearm, you best be calling the cops first, because that other person has been known to call the cops and blame things on you. Jesus Christ, man. Just, oh God, this just keeps getting better. Alright, so let's roll down a little bit more further. Any firearms or ammunition involved or used in any knowing violation of A4, A6, and then all the BS they add in, so your ammunition and your firearm, yep, they're sending you to prison. La da da da. And the hits keep on coming. Let's see. there was. Let's go down to the next one here. And the reason I throw all this into the bill is so we can read through and see how it actually fits. It makes a lot more sense this way, although it makes for load longer videos. In the case of a person who violates Section 922G of this title through the possession of a functional firearm, and has 3 previous convictions in any court committed, well, it's not less than 15 years in prison. If they would spend all this time and energy actually, I don't know, putting violent criminals in jail, we wouldn't have these issues. But they're not worried about the violent criminals. They're worried about the firearm, which makes them worry about you, the law-abiding firearms owner. So see, now they bounce all the way back to Section 922. And the reason they do this is because some of these bills are basically added into other bills, and again, they are retreads, and they just keep updating and adding stuff. So they just kept the text of a lot of this crap and then added in this section. I know exactly what they're doing because I have read a lot of their previous bills. So we come back over here to 922, and this was, where are we at? 922. Let's see. I figure out where we're at. Did I go the wrong way with that? I think I did. I'm just trying to run through this. I don't know. Screw it. So they come in here. They come back down. They make some edits. 922. Then they, by striking any firearm amended, read as follows: an untraceable firearm, or they get in here to B, by striking any major component of which, yada yada, and adding in a major component of a firearm with or which is subjected to inspection by the type of detection devices commonly used at airports for security screenings, would not generate, generate an image. This is part of their undetectable firearms. And then they get down here. The term undetectable firearm means a firearm as defined in Section 921, yada yada, of which no major component is wholly made of a detectable material. So this is considered an undetectable firearm. Good luck getting this to do anything without all of these detectable parts on it. You bunch of absolute mental midgets. These people have no idea about firearms, no idea about firearms technology, no idea about the operation of firearms, no idea about cartridges, metallic cartridges, what goes into these things. They have no idea about them, no freaking clue whatsoever. And then they get down here, they insert, with a prototype. So that is the Untraceable Firearms Act of 2021, and you can bet it's coming back up in 2022. And with all the co-sponsors this bill has, you can bet your ass with everything going on right now. And if look at Putang Does America, look at some of his videos, because Putang just started up another channel because they're trying to kill his other one, yada yada. They are pushing very hard about ghost guns right now. And by they, I mean the left in this country. So you can expect bills like this to pop back up. So I'm out, perps. I need time to cool off after this one. So you guys be cool. If you made it all the way through this video, or you just cycled through this video, leave me a like and a comment. Share the video if you want. That's completely up to you guys. I've said it before, I do these mainly for myself. And if you guys like the videos, hey, more power to you. Love you guys. So y'all be cool. I am out. Later.